And good evening. Welcome to Outside the Box. I'm your host, Kate of Gaia. And I know I have Cindy on the board here, still waiting for Tony Santo Miranda and, of course, the lovely Laura Eisenhower. So we'll get that sorted out as soon as possible. In the meantime, hey, Cin, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. I'm trying to keep calm with all the technical difficulties. I had to switch over to Google Chrome to get in. I could not get in on Firefox. So anyhow, just wonderful, actually. Beautiful day. I didn't get to go swimming today, but it was still a very eventful day. And as a matter of fact, I have to chuckle. My father, I just told my father who we were going to have on the show, and he had to get his little, he pulled out a I Like Ike campaign, one of the buttons that you used to wear on your shirt. I thought that was pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah. For those that are unaware, Laura is a great-granddaughter of the late, great Dwight D. Eisenhower, who, of course, made that now famous and infamous speech warning us about the military-industrial complex and how many things that were actually in place that he didn't say much about, but he gave us all a good warning. And methinks, based on the area code, that we have Laura Eisenhower on the line now. So just making Laura's mic hot as soon as my computer starts working properly. It's been crazy the last few days. Okay, that's the third time I've clicked on the mic button. And there it is. Laura, have we got you on the line there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Oh, my God.
Yes, we can.
Oh, wonderful. I was a little concerned with some tech issues, but we're all good, so.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Tony just joined us. We're waiting for Santo and Miranda as well. So you're going to have a nice family around you tonight because we know you have so much to share. I've watched so much of your stuff. And nothing that you can say on this show will shock or surprise anyone. We call it Outside the Box for a reason. And the best part is we don't just deliver the truth, we show it in plain sight. So you're in good company here tonight. Great to have you, hon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yep, great to hear you made it through, Laura. That was a bit wobbly. We've had a few guests with a few problems on that recently, but great to hear you on the show.
Yeah, that backup plan just came in handy, and we did it just at the last minute, so.
Last second, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you came in under the wire there. Perfect timing, though. So I figured Cindy and I would have a chance to have a chat here. We do have another caller that just called in at 954. We'll check on that in a little bit as far as questions or comments. But Laura, if you would be so kind as to give a little bit of background. I started sharing a bit of that. Many people that are listening to the show, and we do have on average, many tens of thousands listening, so I'm sure of those people, they're very aware of who you are and what your background is. But if you'd be so kind as to share a little bit of that to those that may not know you quite so well.
Sure. Well, my background is, I consider myself a galactic historian, a cosmic mythologist, and a global alchemist, and this really stems from, just my life experience, just the culmination of research, just being involved in all sorts of interesting things on an experiential level, and just, a deeper soul journey that is really the global alchemy part of it. My background, though, on an education level is in science, and I was also a wilderness expedition leader. That was my training, wilderness expedition leadership, which was awesome because it really was an education from nature. I mean, I just learned so much just being in the elements, working with groups, dealing with climates from, 30 below all the way to 110, and just, really learning how to survive. My life has been a boot camp, just to prepare me for, I think, just the role I play right now, assisting and guiding humanity and, just being in my own processes and being real about it. Also, growing up in the Eisenhower family, President Eisenhower is my great-grandfather. I really delved into deeper layers of the military-industrial complex, not just, because of, being a part of the family, because there were no family secrets. There wasn't anything passed down to me that gives me extra insight. It was really just what I was up against outside of the family, which related to the military-industrial complex and some black ops projects like the Mars Agenda. I was recruited in 2006 to go off-planet to a Mars colony, and I would have been there by now, I think, if I hadn't refused to go. So that's a huge portion of my background, is just that whole experience and what I was able to uncover, which they did not expect me to be able to uncover, and it's actually what helped me to, break free from it. So a culmination of all that's allowed me to connect the dots, and that's pretty much my background.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're all here to connect and collect the dots. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot of dots to connect, isn't there? Where doesn't it go, should I say?
Right.
But,
yeah, it really does.
Yeah. So, do you want to give the listeners just a little bit of an insight how you sort of like came to be involved in this Mars program thing, because that's really the fascinating key point.
Yeah. Well, it was really took me by surprise. I knew there was a lot of strange forces around me. I felt very targeted. I didn't have the vocabulary or the understanding because there was no Project Camelot. There were no public whistleblowers. So I was just, trying to sort it all out. And I would say my mission was activated, around the time of even like a child, 6 years old, 7 years old. I was getting major insights into what my path and mission was. So when 2006 rolled around, when this Mars recruitment rolled around, it didn't really shock me because, it exposed the deeper layers of what we're dealing with, the patriarchal global elite agendas, the alien agenda, and how that works with our governments. But the secret Mars colony and how it connects to alternatives 1, 2, and 3 as a backup plan for humanity, is a big part of it. So it has to do with timelines, and it also has to do with stargates. How I got involved was not something I signed up for. It was not something I was even aware of, except for just knowing that something was weird and there were some sinister forces trying to control the planet. I knew that my whole life, that, humanity's under some sort of programming and being totally duped. But this was like the real exposing of the players behind it. So in 2006, I wandered off to a festival and was just doing my thing, and I met a man, and we connected and started to see each other. And I was living in D.C. at the time. I had just moved from California back to D.C., where I went to high school and where my mother was living. And he was going to secret meetings. And I was just asking a bunch of questions, like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And it was all very top secret. And at that time, I was naive. Like I said, there was no Project Camelot or whistleblowers, just sort of, just understanding concepts like mind control through movies and just, hearing about this stuff and knowing that, extraterrestrials are real and UFOs and, having that kind of background, and I had some experiences as a child as well. But this was just really far out there, and discovered that, this was to be kept secret, and it was to, take us off planet, target date 2012, and that it was for my protection, or at least that's what they were saying. So this was basically the reason that this partner was with me, but at the time I just thought this was just something my partner was involved in, and I just happened to date somebody who wanted to go to Mars, and I was just confused by it, but didn't realize until 6 months later or 9 months later that he had been specifically sent by, this group that he was visiting, a secret group, connected to the shadow government, that it was an assignment and a mission that they put him on to drag me in. And so then it got really weird because I was like, geez, how did they know I was at this festival? It's really freaky to be followed or targeted like that. But that's what happened. And, Looking Glass Technologies came up, and this is the technology that they used to identify me in a past life with this particular partner so that we would already have a natural affinity, because it's very hard to just fall for somebody, who's an agent. There has to be some sort of history or, compatibility or affinity there. And what I discovered by people, or by a specific person that sort of defected from the whole Mars program and the whole secret group, he told me that they had located us in a past life and knew that we would have a natural attraction, and that was their form of manipulation. And they got to him when he was a kid and had already, programmed him as, he had a handler, so he was already under some sort of mind control. And I noticed this in the relationship because he would shift and alter all the time. And I knew something was up. And that's when I started to really dig deep, and I had some prophetic dreams. But yeah, that's kind of how it came about. It was just sort of out of left field, but not really, because it's like it looks like it's been in the works for a while.
That's interesting, the way that, I mean, when I initially asked the question, one of the questions that I was leading up to was did you have any unusual experiences when you were younger? Things happened to you that didn't happen to other people for the most part. That's where I was actually going. They did.
Oh, did I have unusual experiences as a child?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was, oh gosh, yeah, I mean, I was born out of the box, for sure. This is why I love the name of the show. It's like, I feel like out of the box, that's out of the box. It's just like, whoa. Yeah, I mean, I felt a lot of isolation growing up because I didn't make sense to anybody. Not to say that other people weren't having, similar experiences, but I was just really in touch with the Magdalene Sophia energies, and just the fact that it was really missing from the planet, just the imbalance of the masculine and feminine, the whole mythological, archetypal, deeper soul story, I was really immersed in, and just the necessity on an energetic level of what needs to happen on the planet. That was really, really strong. And so I knew that it required going into the underworld or going into some deep, deep, deep territory in order to get beyond the archonic controls and the technologies and the manipulations and the electronic harassments and everything. But I didn't have the terminologies at that age, but I knew that that's what was required. So at the age of 6 or 7, here I am, with all this swirling around my head. I'm visiting, with the spirit of Ike, who is kind of, I think wanting to assist me on this path, knowing that I was going to take on a lot of what he was dealing with, but, behind the curtain, not in a way that I could talk about with anybody, because most of the stuff about extraterrestrials was all rumors back then. But I did have an encounter with a race of beings that told me about the timeline that I could help manifest or empower, and that's, actually what I am doing. And they had me look through a viewfinder, and they said, you can create this, and this is a positive human future, and the future can be so beautiful, blah, 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 and just, hold on to this truth for dear life. Hold on to what you know to be true for dear life, because they'll try and destroy you, and they'll try and take you away. Yeah. So I was really prepared for most of my childhood, and also I embarked on this really deep journey, before the age of 12 that led all throughout, my early adulthood and into, the pregnancy of my children and this Mars recruitment. So by the time the Mars recruitment showed up, I was already really anchored in my mission. I knew I was here, for Gaia, for the positive timeline. So it was interesting because the whole Mars agenda is connected to timelines and artificial stargates. And so I was downloaded as a child that my mission was about keeping the natural stargates open, keeping them clear, and empowering the divine feminine, sacred union, and just the whole concept of, Gaia Sophia and this sort of stuff. Like I said, I didn't have all the terminology back then, but this is what it all equated to, and I wrote a book about it. Really, the work has been about clearing inorganic entities from wormholes. I know that sounds weird, but basically keeping the channels open, keeping the energies open, so that whoever's trying to guard these stargates and control them don't stand a chance because of the inner, deeper journey on a soul level, which is very alchemical. And it's connected to Venus, and it's connected to the pentagram and 2012.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the things that Santos talks about in a big way. We're all affected by the planets, the stars, and the movement of the cosmos. So, yeah, it's massive stuff.
Yeah, we're definitely all on the same page here. So, yeah, you're not mind bending anyone, Laura. So, yeah, welcome to Outside the Box.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's really nice to just be around like-minded people. I feel so much more grounded than ever. So
great.
And this is definitely a unified thing. I mean, we're all doing this on some level. It's very unconscious to some, but to others, it's very much strong in our awareness. It's, this is what we're doing. And, really getting out of the way of the ego to let these energies flow through us, because it's really our higher self. It's our connection to spirit that counts. So. Yeah,
absolutely. It was interesting, something else you said as well. Indeed, it is our connection to spirit and our past lives and our soul, what's the word? Soul karmic cosmic contract, basically. But it was also interesting that you said there that they went back to a past life to pick your potential partner. And that's very interesting, because I happen to know that I've learned from sources that the information, or should I say the technologies that they're actually operating, are literally plugged into the Akashic records. So that's how they've managed to go back and do all of this sort of stuff. they're plugged into the past, present, and all the potential futures. So it's
right.
fascinating when you actually dig down, isn't it, and then really get your teeth into the technology.
Yeah, really. And it was just so interesting to uncover. I mean, it made a lot of sense, but I'm like, oh my God, I'll be amazed if anybody can handle this, information. And then, thank goodness, Project Camelot came out, and all these radio shows, and everybody just, ready for this, who have been experiencing similar things. And this is really what's helped keep, the Organic Ascension timeline anchored. Even though the 5D Ascension timeline basically got hijacked, it's been recovered, but in a new way. And it's because of all this. It's because of our speaking out and the Unity festivals or events and conferences, and these shows that you guys put on that have really, done the work and kept us in a good place.
Absolutely. Do you want to mention something about that, Kate? Because, as you know, you'll say the same thing. Laura's bang on. We can change the future, and it's up to us to actually get about and do something to change it, even if it's just tapping one person on the shoulder and saying something, a day. So I'll let you speak now, Kate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things we do discuss a fair bit of. Ironically, this morning, just coincidentally, synchronistically, talked about time jumps and time looping and what have you. Because I've experienced it in a controlling attack on me to change a document so they could steal my house, which they inevitably did. But we also know that a universal time baby, as I like to call it, doesn't like that sort of thing, and that goes against all natural law. And that will be corrected, and those that are, the culprits that have played with it, well, they've got their own reckoning to deal with. So. And we have covered this subject many times, and it will be an ongoing thing, because people really need to understand that. As I describe time, it's for me there is no time. There is only the pre-sent now, which was sent from the future as we've, in terms of consciousness breathing out, we have breathed out, and all along the way to get to that final exhalation, we're on the breath in now. On the breath out, we left all these beautiful timeline breadcrumbs, if you will, which are the synchronicities, the deja vus, the coincidences that we find to find our own way back home. And for me, finding this trail, the Hansel and Gretel going home trail, was paramount. And thankfully, in the last month or so, I guess, Tony, we've really honed in on it. And everything makes a whole lot more sense. So having you on tonight, Laura, brings this. Again, these are just dots that are connecting I know for everyone that's on the call right now, and I know for a lot of listeners, a lot of dots are getting connected. And it is about taking that positive energy and manifesting it, because, you go back through the ancient books, the Bible and stuff like that, when you know how to read them, the truths are all there in the astrological sense, and that, we are all part of the consciousness, the one, and we are gods, and we've been duped into doubting that, and that's why we're dealing in this kind of odd little movie that we're playing out in. But anyway, those are just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, it's part of that contract is, experiencing the tree of good and evil, and, being quarantined and being in these reincarnation cycles, and this amnesia. I mean, we decided to, play out the polarity of negative and positive and to see both sides, but unfortunately much of humanity has chosen evil because of that temptation into that physicality on a very selfish level, has been really pulling even high-dimensional beings into that game. And, that's, the choice that we had, but free will's been so manipulated, it's hard to even imagine that there was even a fair choice, because when there's mind control and projects and deceptions and rewritten history, where is it fair to even choose when we don't even know what, we're dealing with on a galactic level? But yeah, we are so much just like supreme beings compared to the ones running the show that are much more inferior. They're just so afraid of us that, they've attempted to make us absolutely forget our origins and who we really are, and this is what the Great Awakening's about. And people really got to step it up and recognize that every single one of us is important. This is not just something that's going to be handed to us. It's an initiation, and it requires really changing our lifestyle, our beliefs, our thoughts, the way we treat one another and ourselves. It's not just something that, we just get rescued from. I mean, we got to do the work, and that's part of restoring the tree of life because it's our DNA. It's upgrading our DNA. It's illuminating the junk DNA, recognizing its connection to the cosmic mother and our ethereal galactic chakras that we've been told in science class is just useless, you know? So it's like, it just takes a really strong spirit to be able to see through it, and luckily there's so many of us, and it's rippling out, and obviously people who used to say it's crazy can't really argue against thousands and thousands that are all in agreement, so that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, and we've talked about this in regards to music. I'm a musician, and fundamental laws of music is that a dominant frequency will bring other frequencies in the room to its tone, to its match. In the same way that a room full of clocks all ticking at different rates, you come back, an hour or so later, they'll all be ticking in unison because there is a dominant frequency. And what's happening now is exactly what you're saying, in that frequency of those of us that are awake and stubborn about it. Because I got to tell you, you got to be stubborn to save. You're here to save yourself, and in doing so, you will enlighten and help others. But no one's coming to save you guys. You got to save yourself. All we can do is show everyone how we're doing it for ourselves and together as a unit. And beyond that, the call is yours. Laura, you nailed that one. People just they got to step up, put the boots on, and tie them up. Go for a walk down the yellow brick road.
Totally, and enjoy it too. I mean, this is not anything that should feel like a burden. I mean, it's total liberation. Everything that we've ever been taught, we get to abandon. I mean, to me, that's great news because I never paid attention in school, and a lot of the projections that people get for not really, maybe following the American dream or getting those big degrees, even though, I mean, I'm not saying that that's not a good route to go, but I mean, if it can develop one's uniqueness and one can use the tools of their education to let their uniqueness flow through it, then great. But I think it's, really exciting that integrity is the most important thing, and that our relationships are everything, and that, getting in touch with our own divine power is where it's at. I mean, these are really amazing things to be able to get in touch with, because who really wants to be controlled, and who really wants to be absorbing information and reiterating it when it's not really genuine or authentic to the truth of who we are and our own uniqueness, which connects with the oneness on a spirit level that we all are as well. So, I just hope people realize, how much fun it can be just to break free of these forces. And those who complain so much, that don't understand the necessity of the soul work, it's important to bridge the gap between what awakening is. It's not just about knowing the dark agendas. It's about knowing what is required within in order to conquer them.
Yeah, beautifully said. It's like you said, they've been training you not to believe them because, they've tried really, really hard to brainwash you, but you've... because, how can I put this? Our DNA evolves. The parents that managed to survive to have offspring are the best of the batch because all the others fell before them, and that goes on generation after generation after generation. So the DNA gets perfected over a long time. So they've put this brainwashing program to try and overlay and bury what's left of ourselves. But our DNA is so strong it's breaking through, like weeds through concrete, if you like. It's amazing that we're managing to come through, but indeed we are coming through like, rocket ships.
Yep, and that's why I said, okay, there's alternative 1, 2, and 3, 3 being establishing a colony on other planets like the Moon and Mars. What about alternative 4, the power of the human spirit? That's not just an alternative, that's the true reality. That's the real birthright. We are so powerful. We don't need to evacuate the planet. We don't need to follow some alien agenda. We don't need to follow government. We don't need to follow religion or anything. I mean, it's really just about the human spirit, about how we connect to it personally. And, that's what we all do on a personal level, and that's what creates the unity, because once we do that personally, then it connects the dots, and that's the unified field and the zero-point energy that is right there, right here, underneath our nose. And, being in alignment with the galactic core and really just having this clarity on a cosmic level as the planetary bodies are really assisting, this is the time to step into it. But, of course, the dark forces are yanking just as hard. False flags will continue, and all this other stuff will continue. And it amazes me how much people are still immersed in the matrix compared to, what's happening on a cosmic level, and how much, those forces are liberating us, but still choosing to get immersed in, what Obama's doing, what our governments are doing. And as much as I think it's important to know, generally what's happening, we can't let our emotional bodies and our soul nature and the best of who we are get sucked into it. And that's really the danger right now more than anything else, because the positive timeline, the ascension timeline, is available to us like it's never been. And these gates aren't going to be open, for very long, maybe another 20 years or so. Carrie Cassidy confirmed that last night. I've always, just known that a little bit just based on my experience, that these gates aren't going to be open for very long, and we got to really just take advantage of it and watch out for all the different things that are yanking at us, because the timelines that have been spoken about before, like, from people from like Dan Burrish, have been talking about different timelines connected to alien agendas. The one that we really want to establish is the one that's connected to the human spirit and our planetary body Gaia and source energy. That's the only timeline that's really going to give us the ultimate experience. And that's why people have to be careful of channelings and different extraterrestrial groups, because they want us to help win that war and establish a timeline that's more for them than us.
Laura, can I ask you a question? Miranda here. I was wondering what your thoughts were on how to protect ourselves at these times.
Well, that's a great question. Protecting oneself. Oh, gosh. There's, of course, nutrition's important. Giving oneself a lot of, alone time, downtime, rest, relaxation, just real connection to nature, really just knowing oneself deeply, is really important, because discernment's everything. If we don't have a developed intuition, how are we going to be able to tell the difference between fact and fiction, what's artificial and what's organic? The focus really needs to be on the inward. I mean, we're always looking outside of ourselves, but that's, to me, very dangerous. I think the more we go inside and we strengthen our inner connection to spirit, to ourselves, to our soul, we're going to, really know how to manifest and how to create in a real way, because our soul energy is connected to Gaia and to the elements. I mean, earth, air, fire, and water is what it creates the astrological signs. I mean, they're ruled by earth, air, fire, water. Our soul nature is earth, air, fire, water. And so when we're living on that level, we're a part of the alchemy. We're a part of the shift. And it assists us in upgrading our DNA. It assists us in activating our light body. If we're, in our heads are looking outside of ourselves, we're not in that connection as much. Our minds can really, just sort of distort the whole process and make it very difficult, even if aspects of ourselves are still connected. But we need to know, because we're not consciously creating if we're not fully engaged. Our minds end up creating a projection, utilizing those forces and energies, but, empowering the illusion rather than what's organic. So it's really important just to connect with nature, to connect with the self, to eat well, to, look at where we are in our life. How are our relationships? What are we addicted to? Where do we still, run a programming or a belief that isn't really compatible with our own sense of peace or self-love, Just really paying attention to those things. I mean, I find the greatest way to protect myself is working on my relationship with me, on my relationship with my partner, and on my relationship with my kids. Because the more we can break it down to the base cell, the base structure, the true government, which is just family, our relations, those around us, it starts to ripple out to the collective. And so, we got to get our backyard in order. We have to get our own stuff in order. Because if we just do everything outside of ourselves too much and our personal lives are chaos and we're addicted to alcohol or drugs, or we're, watching too much television and we're buying into the distortions of the masculine and feminine, and we're still talking and repeating ancestral patterns, then we're, very vulnerable to being siphoned into an artificial timeline. And those timelines are still very much here. So, I really just encourage people to just be as real with yourself as possible and to embrace the things you don't like about yourself. Remember, it's a deception, it's a programming, and, start to change the way, you identify with these things, because, most of the stuff that we've been fed is to create separation, insecurities, and dependency on products and solutions that take our money, take our power, take our energy, take our beliefs, and take our birthright and our and even our sanity when we hit that dead end, realizing that we're not getting anywhere, and then what, And if we're too attached to our jobs and to what's in our bank account and to our physical appearance, that's the trap they want us to be immersed in, so that we're in duality and we feel like failures or we feel successful, and we can't just find that middle ground of inner peace regardless of what's flowing into our life. I mean, we have to learn how to be happy regardless of a lot of things, and not be so defined by the material external world.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, boy, isn't that the truth? That's been part of my particular walk in having everything around me like shredded to such a degree, and for me that was only a measure of how dangerous I was to the system, where I scared them enough that they felt the need to do that and time jump and you name it, this, that, and the other. But you're right, it's about finding the inner peace, and all of us that are in the call, we're all friends here, and we've all been going through a lot of energy attacks, if you will, over the last few weeks, where it's been a lot of up and down, a lot of energies that are happening, especially around the 21st. I mean, that was probably the most anticipated date in human history, and isn't it funny that all the doom and gloomers, well, they were wrong, because you know what I was expecting on December 21st? December 22nd.
Right.
Again, and it's about the evolution of spirit, of going to the higher self. It's having that willingness to be peacefully defined, and where you define yourself. At least that's what worked with me anyway. And this is what we try to share with everyone to, get into that peace zone. And I got to tell you, it's been tough for me, and I know it's been tough for Tony and others. To find that middle ground, and because I know we talk to each other on occasion, and it's like one day I'm up and someone else is down, and vice versa, and we're here to support and help each other, and all we got to do is hold on. So that's what we're doing. We just hold on, and we get the truth out, just like what you're sharing tonight, Laura. And I know Cindy's chomping at the bit here, so Cindy, get into it, right?
I'm loving every second of this. It is such a pleasure to hear your voice, Laura, and be a part of this call. And I totally agree with everything that you're saying, and a lot of what I am doing. And I find that even my children are following suit. Neighbors are following suit. I go out and plant my feet in the dirt and stick my head up in the ether and focus on Gaia, Mother Earth, and every little bit helps, from picking up trash whenever you see it to just I walk out and hug my trees. I tree hug, yes I do. And I just this is just amazing, and I really appreciate what you're doing. I really do.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. This is really fascinating information. And
I can't hear you. Okay, there you go.
I said this is very fascinating information, and I commend you for coming on the air to talk about it. And I've followed you for quite a while, and I'm honored to be on the show with you.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here, and I really appreciate just that you guys just put it out there. It's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Hey, Santo, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I was kind of just, you know me, I'll talk all night. That's why, I got to physically force myself to shut up. You know what I like, Jeff, right?
No, it's all right. I thought you said Santos wanted to say hello. That's all.
No, Santo, I've been tagging him. I think he's on a call or something, because he was showing online in Skype, and now he's showing away. So he'll join us when he can, and he knows that we're all here, and I know he'd have some fascinating questions and sharings with Laura. I'm sure the two of them would just go off in a beautiful tangent. So I'd just love to hear a bit more about some of the background of the Mars colonies and some of the stuff surrounding that. I know you've talked about it ad infinitum here, ad nauseum, but I know there's a lot of people that have tuned in that haven't heard the story, and I'd love for you to, if you could, just go into some detail as to what you experienced and what you were the people you were working in and around.
Right. Okay. Well, just to backtrack a little bit. So I like I said, I met that partner, and there was a natural affinity, which of course, they found that connection and used it, against us. But he was under some level of mind control, and I noticed that. And what I noticed was, calls that he would get, he would be sent some sort of code over the phone, and he would just disappear. And I was really confused about what was happening and where he was going. And, when I would hear about the Mars thing, there was such urgency to it. And when we, look at our history, our hidden history, Alternative 3 was the scenario that they set up that in event of catastrophe that we would be able to go to Mars and relocate. And, that makes a lot of sense to protect the human genome, and I can understand that aspect of it. But when you're dealing with mind control and you're not dealing with, courteous invites like, hey, by the way, if everything, you start to feel freaked out, why don't you come to Mars with us? I mean, it was all cloak and dagger. It was all very hush-hush. It was all very manipulative. And I didn't get a chance to really talk to the main players. They were talking through my partner. And he would mention their names, and he would call them his handlers. And he told me that I could have a handler. And I was like, I don't want a handler. That sounds CIA-ish or really creepy. It was weird. So in the very beginning, I wasn't getting a whole lot of information, but I was asking a lot of questions. Then everything sort of dropped away, and it seemed to sort of, fall to the wayside. And I ended up getting engaged to this person. I moved to North Carolina. And I guess at the time I figured, because just to backtrack from what I said before, I didn't know the nature of this agenda. I didn't know how deep it was. I wasn't sure if it was just some sort of thing that would eventually become public, we go to the moon and now we're going to Mars. But I knew that there was an Illuminati and a lot of hidden stuff as well. So I was looking out for red flags, and I got a lot of red flags. So when I got to North Carolina, the subject came back up, and it seemed to come back up the more immersed in the relationship I was. The desire to get me off planet and just really fill me in more increased every time, things were a little bit more grounded on a relationship level, which, was the move, when I got there. Then it just got really extreme, and it was like, I kept saying, wait a second. I didn't know that this was as urgent as it is. They were saying, the date that we want to get there is 2012, and you don't have a choice, and if you don't come with us, we'll kidnap you. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second here. I mean, I just thought you guys were having discussions, and it was just sort of something far in the future and just something that, I could go or not go, depending on whatever I want. Like, I have free will, right? And when I realized that this was very forceful, very manipulative, and my partner was acting really odd with sort of not acting like himself and disappearing for days, I got really concerned, and I was just, saying to myself, just no matter what, just don't go, just refuse to go, and that's all you need to do. But anyway, so I had a dream, and it really helped. This was before I had studied and researched deep into the group that he was going to and the technologies that were connected to it. I had a dream that I was, being taken up in chains by a ship, and it was a very, very lucid dream. I could feel the coldness of the ocean. I was floating in the ocean when I got taken up by the ship, by chains. And then I got into the ship, and everybody was, wearing black, and they looked like spies. And this voice from the sky said to me, you can go with them, you'll be controlled, or you can stay on Earth and do your mission. And so I'm thinking, well, of course I'm going to stay on Earth and do my mission. And then, boom, I fall out of the ship, and I plunge back down into the water. But I'm all by myself, and my partner's up on the ship, so I'm like, well, I should, go get him. And I try and fly up into the sky, and there's lightning and thunder, and there's no way to access the ship, and I had made my choice, and that was it. And so I land back in the water, and then all of a sudden, something from the sky, says you made the right choice. And I see these planetary alignments happen, and the whole sky fills with light. And so, okay, that was an interesting dream. I wake up the next morning, and I tell my partner, I'm like, whoa, check out this dream I had. And he got really flustered, like, oh, my gosh, you shouldn't have told me this. Because what it ended up doing was triggering the fact that I was getting more aware of what this was all about. I was getting major downloads about, what I was, up against. And that's when everything started to get exposed. When he would, tell me a little bit about what was happening, when he wasn't being activated, by their codes or, activating different parts of his personality to serve them, he would, tell me, I have stuff to tell you, like leak to me. And when he wanted to tell me, he would undo all the cell phones and batteries and unplug all the electronics because he said that we were being, tapped and listened to, and that the only way he could tell me this stuff was to make sure that, everything was unplugged and disconnected. And then he would tell me things, like, they want to take you because of the work that you do and the Sophia connection, and just, it didn't seem to be about bloodlines. They didn't really mention that, but they did mention something about the treaties and this and that. But anyway, so then, he would be activated into another personality and deny everything that he had said to me. So it was all very confusing. But what ended up happening was I was so strong in not wanting to go, and I knew that he was being manipulated and messed with, and I knew that something was really wrong because he would go out and have, transmissions from extraterrestrials, he would say, that were guiding him about going to Mars. And I'm thinking, something doesn't feel right here. First of all, it didn't feel like a genuine exchange. Like this wasn't, maybe a legitimate extraterrestrial group. Maybe, it had to do with my labs or something with the military. Because, there just seemed to be something more than just extraterrestrial communication going on, because he was reporting back to this group. So I had this intuition that, this was artificial telepathy and that he was maybe chipped, and that the abductions that he had told me about that he had experienced were somehow connected to the government or this group that he was in that seemed to pose as a group that wanted to assist him in trying to understand the nature of his extraterrestrial experiences. I felt that they had taken him under his wing, but they were the ones behind it. And actually my intuition was correct, which was really validating, because I didn't feel, at that point in my life that I don't know, I was just really questioning my own intelligence at times, like, what am I doing? My path was just so whacked. And anyway, so I started doing research, and there was nothing I could find online. And I was just not going to give up on searching, these names that he kept mentioning that he was meeting with. And I would pull up their names, and it would say, like, physicist in, Austin, Texas, or, this person, worked at Los Alamos. So I'm like, okay, well, this is getting a little bit more interesting here. And then remote viewing, spies and, things connected to being advisors to the CIA. And then I kept digging, and, I wasn't really finding anything that was that bad until, after 2 weeks of just searching and searching, I found a website that linked to something, and it started to connect the names of the people that were dealing with him and wanting to take us to Mars. It started to link them with technologies like HAARP, psychotronic weaponry, mind control, artificial telepathy, and my labs. And I was like, ding, 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 this is it. I was right. Something's going on, with these people. These people are connected to, alien technology, and they're not using it in the right, in a good way at all. And, the initial intuition is that we don't need to evacuate Mother Earth. Mother Earth is not here to throw her children off. The people that need to go are the ones that are polluting her, that are trying to control her through technology. And so, it was always a red flag. I never wanted to go. I might go later, on my own terms, but not with these people. And so anyway, so I got a hit, and I knew what these people were all about, and they wanted to have me believe that I was going to be protected, and the whole reason they wanted to take me was to protect me from cataclysms or this or that might be happening on Earth. And maybe there was some level of protection. I knew that they wanted me to be on their team, though, and I can't say how evil these people are or how malevolent they are. I think that the beings that they're working with, any alien agenda to me is a red flag, even if there is some benevolence there. But I decided, okay, well, what do I do now that I can see through all this? So all I could really do is just, talk about it. Just so that they knew that I knew, and maybe they would back off, because I was getting attacked all the time. I had real bad heart problems. I was going to the hospital. Like, if I didn't follow what they wanted, I felt like extreme attacks, like to the point of having a stroke. Went to the hospital twice, and it was just insane. I mean, the chaos, I can't even begin to tell you. He would come in after having transmissions with these so-called extraterrestrials, and me and my children would just get sick. It was just like something emanating off of his body was so strong, it was just like, blah. So I tried to tell him, they're turning you into a robot. Like, you're serving some dark agenda. And, of course, he wouldn't have anything to do with it. So I ordered rare earth magnets and Oregon, and I'm trying to, deactivate him. I'm, searching the Internet, like, what do I do? How can I fix this? And basically, because I had talked enough about it over the phone and I could hear it getting, the clicking sound, they knew that I knew what they were all about. And then they started to leave me alone. The attacks started to fall away. I could breathe again. And then I just, moved down the street and, actually I'd already, moved down the street but I got away from the relationship, and I got away from all of them. And it got really bad. I mean, it took about 6 to 9 months to fully be free of it. And of course, speaking out about it and just the fact that they know what I'm doing, I'm not totally free of it, but I'm free in the sense that now it's like I'm looking at them square in the face and saying, I don't think so. And this is what we all have the power to do. You don't need to just go along with something because your governments tell you, or some secret group tells you, or some secret cult or religion or anything. It's all about our own just creative spirit and imagination and our own personal power. And this is what I knew as a child, they'll try and destroy you and they'll try and take you away. So, of course I'm not going to let that happen. And I never was afraid of them, ever. I mean, I think they're the biggest bullies, and it's laughable. I mean, they just don't scare me, and death doesn't scare me. You know, people give me death threats, and it's a joke. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, death to me is a vacation, so you're not really scaring me. But, you know, I'm committed to being here, so whatever. And whatever happens, happens. You know, I'll die, you know, knowing that I served a good cause rather than, you know, chose to be a part of, you know, what they manipulated Eisenhower in being a part of that he warned us about. So, you know, I looked at this as this is your chance to put a halt on this aspect of the military-industrial complex and to expose it. And, you know, that's what it's about for me, divine justice. You know, of course, there's lessons of duality. There's the role of the dark teacher to be a catalyst to our awakening. But this has got to be exposed because there's, you know, children should not be harmed. There should be no mind control. It's just all of this needs to come out. And so, you know, it's very multidimensional and multifaceted, but it's covered a lot of different aspects of just, you know, what I know on a soul level to be necessary for humanity and for myself in our liberation from, you know, these alien agendas. And that's basically what happened. You know, there's been a lot of backlash and just a lot of interesting things coming from it. But, you know, this group is connected to this stuff, and they pose as being just, you know, a UFO group that's there to help people, you know, who have stories, but it goes much deeper than that. And, you know, they're connected to these three-letter organizations and to these treaties and to MJ-12 and to, you know, all sorts of things. And Dan Burish, who's a whistleblower, was, you know, connected to them. And later on, you know, Alfred Weber, who I discovered, heard about my story, and the whole Mars thing, you know, was a big interest to him because he was already working with Andrew Basiago, and he said, you know, I'm willing to share your story. And the minute I became public, you know, things got a lot easier for me. Things came into balance a lot more in my life, and I've now found, you know, some stability that I've never, ever had. I've moved, you know, I've just been running around the United States and all over just, you know, trying to run away from these forces, and then eventually just had to surrender and say, okay, who is this? Bring them to me, show me them, and not too soon after, you know, all this Mars stuff took place. So as I said, I stumbled upon it at this festival, but I also did, you know, ask the universe to just bring me, you know, into awareness of it so I could put an end to it and be free, because there was nothing I could create without it being sabotaged or attacked. And it was just like, okay, is this bad karma? What is this? There's got to be something else, because I could tell. And I went to a clairvoyant institute, and they pointed it out, and they said, yep, you're not crazy. At first I was like, darn it, because it would have been just so much easier to be in an institute. But no. But they confirmed everything, and they did confirm that, you know, you have been trying to clear inorganic entities from wormholes, and you do have dark forces after you, and it's not bad karma. They're just, they want to just put a stop to what you're here to do. And, you know, this is what a lot of us are dealing with, you know, we deal with this. So, you know, my story is extreme, but, you know, this is what our story is. I mean, this is happening to all, you know, beings that wish to be free. And what I love about getting away from the Mars recruiters is that there's triumph. I mean, it didn't really take that much, but me just standing my ground and refusing to be controlled. And we all have that power, so.
That's all it takes, Laura. I mean, you have, you've got a nail gun going on there, putting nails all along the board. Yeah, really, the key is, and it's always within every individual, you can choose to believe that you're in fear of something by virtue of someone else forcing their beliefs upon you, call it religion, government, fear, whatever. Or you can choose to decide that you are an infinite being, which you are, and stand up and take responsibility for that God status that we all have a responsibility in. You're either part of the creation or you're part of the destruction. And it's interesting you brought up that point about, is it karma or whatever? Because I've asked myself that question too. Is what the hell did I do to deserve this? You know, but really, what it fundamentally boils down to is we have made the conscious, aware choice and decision to stand in truth, and there are forces here that are adamantly fighting, hell bent for leather, like to the bitter end. And people like us are exactly what they are terrified of. And the absolute minute you lose the fear, that's the win. That's all. It just takes you to lose the fear. Then you've won, and the game changes. That's why we do this.
Totally. Yeah, and, it's not about waiting for the external to look like paradise. It's just that internal victory of not being in fear, not being controlled, getting your life back, your power back, your creative, freedom, all of it. And, then the external world will catch up. It moves a lot slower than consciousness, but, yeah, that's where the real victory is, and everybody's got the ability to do that. And, these things, they almost are asking for it. I mean, they make it so obvious, and at this point, it's so absurd what they're trying to do. So many people are still keeping their head in the sand. We're being sprayed. It's obvious there's chemtrails. It's obvious, there's been abductions. It's, this stuff isn't as hidden as it used to be. But people have to make the conscious decision, because maybe the people that have survived the projects or gotten away from, going to Mars and some of these more extreme stories, break it down. It's the same thing with people who have their head in the television. It's the same form of control. It's just trying to take your power. It's trying to take you somewhere you don't need to be. And on every level, humans are dealing with the exact same sort of choice. That I had and that you've had and all of us have had. It doesn't matter what degree or extreme that it rests on. We have to just pay attention, because it sources out of those agendas. It goes into the mainstream, and it's theater. But what's underneath the curtain is just a massive desire to take your soul and your beliefs and to use it so that they can be in power. And it's time to starve the beast, and people have to be willing. And whatever you're holding on to that you think is more important, be willing to take a risk. I lived down the road for more than 10 years. I've been homeless, most of my adult life. Jobs have failed, things have failed, and it's a huge blessing when those things crumble. Natural disasters can really work for people. It brings people together. Let love rule. Let that shine through. No matter what needs to leave, remember that just being in the now and accessing your higher self and your higher abilities will provide you the miracles you need to get back on track, to get stable again, or to just have the adventure that your soul requires to really just grow and wake up. And we get exactly what we need. And the attachments can really screw with people, because, they break down. They don't know what to do without the things that they attach themselves to. And, so they tried to manipulate me based on, this is great service, we'll protect you, this is to protect the human genome. And, that's part of the scam. The best way we can protect anything is by living in our truth and remembering that, our Mother Earth requires us to tend to her before we go off planet or anywhere else. It's just, it doesn't even matter the fact that we should just decide for ourselves.
Yeah, and you nailed it again with the responsibility to Gaia. That's why my name is Kate of Gaia. This is my mother. This is my home. And I stand to post. I will not yield. I have her back to the death. Because, like you just said, I love the way you put it. Death, okay, that's just a vacation. You still got to come back and clean up more crap. But anyway, you might as well get done while you're here.
I could not agree more. I hear so many people saying, I can't wait to get off this planet. And I love this place. I do. And I wow, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Mother Earth is... That's why I love being in the wilderness, because, I mean, it is such an amazing force, and it's just so full of love and just protection and support and tough lessons and just... But it's incredible, because the more connected to her we are, the more we tap into the abundance of the universe, and we recognize that we don't need governments or money. We don't need anything. It's our abilities. It's our spiritual abilities that, provide us the things that we need, and the earth provides for us. And the earth is in a gestation period. The whole predator-victim thing that we see in nature is alchemizing into a whole new structure. And that's, a part of us and our movement into, higher dimensional energies. And it's a co-creation. So, when people just need to attach to something, attach to that. Attach to spirit, attach to Mother Earth, attach to your integrity, and you'll be guided, and there will be magic, and there will be a flow that will surprise people that is very, very, that will take care of you, and it does.
Our vindication is coming up. I do want to mention we have a caller that's kind of came in and left. I'm not sure if they're just listening or what. Apparently there's a few people with internet problems. I can't get on the show with my other computer, sitting right beside this one. It's on Firefox, so whatever. We're okay. I'm just going to check in with this caller to see if they have any questions or comments. And I do have someone else wanting to call in with a question as well. I do know that ahead. They Skype me, so anyway, you're cool with that? Everything good?
Oh, I'm great.
Okay, excellent. Well, I knew you would be, but it's a polite thing. You got to be polite. It's integrity.
I know. Oh, definitely. My boys are polite, and I'm so grateful. I'm like, good.
Absolutely. That's when you're polite, you're showing gratitude for the other person. When you say please and thank you and bless you and actually try to reach out to others in that regard, you're showing your integrity. So wonderful to hear that. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's really sweet.
Yeah, my girls are the same. I've only seen them a couple of times in the last year since I got rated, but no, they were raised proper, so I know they're strong enough. Anyway, so we'll bring this caller in. Oh yeah, universe has tested me, hon. It's all good. I'm standing. No yielding here. All right, area code 954. First two numbers 27. Your mic is hot. Do you have any questions or comments?
Hi. I'm on. Totally cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, number one, hello everyone. How is everyone doing? But you know what? After listening to Laura, a ton of times, listening to her story, I got to tell you, the amount of courage you had to just walk away from that stuff is amazing. And you have to feel good about that. If you don't feel good about anything else in your life, and you have two beautiful boys, but that is amazing. Okay, so I have a three-pronged question. Maybe you can't get to all of it. But I recently listened to something by Bill Ballard, who said we're living in 3D, 4D, and 5D, which means, we're all at a different level. And I was wondering, Laura and the hosts, how do you feel about that? Is that true? Does that resonate to you, or is that a bunch of baloney?
Okay.
You can go first, Laura. I have an answer as well, but go ahead.
I do resonate with that. When one looks at dimensions, it is connected to a timeline. It's also connected to our DNA. As we know, we've been a third density planet with, activated 3-strand DNA, and the power structures, the false power structures in the archonic systems rule us in our lower chakras, like our third chakra and below. And so when one thinks of, 3D, that's still kind of being entrapped in that. And the programmings and all the damage that's been done for thousands and thousands of years have kept people very stuck in that mindset. Even if there's dimensional shifts, people are still, because of the habitualness and just being familiar with it, still thinking in dualistic terms and still thinking with their 3D mentality. For those that, never bought into it, or I'm sure at some point we all have, but in other lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But for those who have moved away from that and are really just, staying in tune and in alignment with the energies that are just flooding us from the galactic core, from, the Earth herself through our feet chakras and from our own core sun and just inner light and divinity, we're moving into these higher dimensional energies. And at times we can be pulled back into some of the old patterns and ways of thinking, and at other times we have foot into the higher worlds, and we're kind of going back and forth between the two. After December 21st, I don't see us all on the same timeline. I still see that, it's like a roadmap. You can see a lot of people on the same road that one's driving on, but everybody's destination, might be different. But ultimately, it all comes back to home, to the same source. So it's better to look at it like, creeks and rivers and everything flowing into the ocean eventually. So yes, I do see that we're all on different levels. It's obvious just being online with the different mindsets. Some people are still fear-based. Some people are still, absorbed in the politics of it all. And other people are just so far removed and just anchoring the light. And, ultimately, though, our shared frequencies can help boost those that are still kind of caught in the 3D trap. And, it can transmute some of those forces into the higher dimensions. To me, the fact that we made it through this window period means that we're in a big rehabilitation on a planetary level, and that, we're being called to assist humanity in the rehabilitation from all the traumas and abuses and lies and deceptions. So anybody who's vibrating in 5D or beyond just has a job of needing to touch those that are still, below, because the higher dimensions have dominion over the lower. And to usher as many souls as we can into these higher dimensional frequencies. But to me, it's more about the being that's holding that energy that keeps that timeline alive. Because once you move away from it, the synchronicities assist one in getting in touch with a whole different direction. And when they use chronovisors and they've time traveled into the future, Looking Glass Technologies can't see anything past 2012 because the higher dimensional frequencies are too high for that technology to pick up on. But chronovisors are able to see into the future, and there are many different timelines they've been able to see, which means that it's based on the person using the chronovisor what timeline they see, because they're going to see the timeline that's orientated to themselves. So, it's really up to the individual where they want to go and where they want to head. On a collective level, that it's a little bit more of a mystery, but I see us, helping to rehabilitate the collective to bring it into the highest level possible. But there's still some that might choose to just stay immersed in the 3D, and we'll have to go the rounds again in order to learn the lessons of darkness and enslavement in order to have the force of spirit be so repulsed by it that it eventually breaks through and wakes up.
Wow, that was a very good answer, Laura.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was wonderful, sweetheart. That was great. More than I could imagine. But now, how do you feel about it? I don't even know who I'm talking to. I don't know who the hosts are. Who are you?
I'm Kate, the host. This is
you're Kate. Oh, yeah, that's why I don't relate, because you're like Kate with the girl's name.
Yeah.
Kate from Gaia. Cool. Okay. What do you have to say about that?
In simple terms, people that are listening into the show, for example, are obviously resonating at a higher frequency because they're reaching out, and this is the vibration Laura is talking about that is drawing that energy and those beings that are wanting to push up and to rise above the 3D reality. Yet we still have those that are stuck in 3D and some probably lower. But anyway, in terms of
God forbid.
Yeah, the structured systems like cops and courts and lawyers and governments and all the rest, religious leaders and what have you, they're the ones that are trapped in their own paradigms. And inevitably, those are the ones that we are trying to resonate to bring up as well, because, we go together, and it is the compassionate heart that says all are welcome, but it has to be that individual's choice. So the fact that you're tuning in means you're resonating at a higher frequency and are able to see and feel and hear what we're all trying to share. So
it's a little rough. It's a little rough, though. It's like taking the high risk. It's like a little rough. I just have one more question. Everybody talks about duality, the black and the darkness, and then the light, and blah 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 blah. And almost as if we had a war going on. And I was just wondering, did we have a war, or are we okay? I mean, those of us who have taken the other road, the other side of the fence, we're kind of like in a minority right now. But
not so much a minority anymore.
Is the war over, or is it still going on? The duality thing, do we still going to have to fight all that stuff?
For a lot of people, duality is still going on. It's very much an egoic trait. Success, failure, right, wrong, black, white, masculine, feminine. But really, when one steps away from duality, one recognizes that there is no real duality. It's kind of an illusion because everything is whole. Light and dark, if one sees it in a circle and sees it like the roots of a tree and then the branches going up, it receives light and the light comes in, the water goes into the root system. I mean, there's the darkness and the light work together. They merge and it creates the alchemy, which, the masculine and feminine coming together in sacred union is the alchemical marriage. When these forces come together and when they're recognized as being a partnership, and being merged, then there's no longer duality. Rather than, going on one side or the other, one meets in the middle and recognizes, how they mix. and what is birthed from that. So when in sacred union the masculine and feminine come together, the divine masculine and feminine, it births the magical child. And that's what this shift time is really representing into 2013, that the anchoring of the divine masculine and feminine in union have birthed this year as being the magical child year. That's a result of this union, which is the 0 point energy in the Fool. It's just that magical child, the divine innocence, reawakening and just remembering who we really are. And so all duality, when merged, creates a baby in a sense. Light and dark when merged. When it's not darkness like dark forces and evil agendas, but when it's darkness like the womb and the soil and just our soul essence and our creative fertility merges with our light and higher mind, then we birth higher realities and higher experiences that utilize light and dark, so that we're not just being in the fluffy light, floaty, everything positive, or in the darkness where it's all very, dark and we're just very anchored and physical. It's about the two together, because the true light and dark is the cosmic womb and the infinite spirit. When you put that in physical matter, we're here to anchor those same forces so that we can, utilize it as a creative force rather than, a mood swing, like a bipolar reaction to this dual existence, because the false power structures want to maintain duality. But outside of duality, which is the illusion, is wholeness. And we got to get in touch with that wholeness and embrace the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine, the right and the left brain, spirituality merged with science. And we got to start to connect these two rather than keep them separate. And then we're free of duality. But it starts from within.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
Well,
sure. You're amazing, young lady.
Oh, thank you.
That was wonderful.
Not bad, eh?
You should put that in words so people could read it. Put it on the Facebook or something.
Oh, yeah.
That was wonderful.
It's all
you are definitely in touch with what is going on. And for people like me, I'm just a little person. I live by myself, and I don't have a lot going on, but I left a lot. And I think all the things that you just said were very enlightening, and I'm not impressed by very much.
Oh, thank you so much.
No, you're really cool.
Welcome.
I knew there was a reason I met you online or whatever.
Yeah, we all meet.
I don't know why I found this show today, but I'm very happy.
You were meant to find the show.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is a very, very, very powerful, positive environment.
Yeah, it's universe changing. Again, just to reiterate what Laura was saying, once we give up the light or dark duality and embrace the light and dark singularity, as in bringing all aspects together, there is no right or wrong. There is right and wrong equally. Everything is in the mirror here. That's what duality is, and we're moving to that singularity. And my heels are dug in 6 feet deep, and I will not yield, and I know Laura won't. I know everyone else on this panel won't yield either. So, but I want to say thank you very much.
No, I like that. I like that. Thank you very much for entertaining my conversation and my thoughts and my questions, and thank you very much, all of you.
Well,
God bless you.
Thank you.
You're wonderful.
I'll put you back on hold so you can listen and keep listening in, and we do have another call.
All right, cool. All right.
I love you, and hold the torch high, hon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Next caller. Okay, I'm just waiting for my computer. It's being a little bit stubborn and slow. You guys still hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. We got one other caller here. And beautiful questions, by the way, and beautiful answers, Laura. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
It's amazing, when you get the like minds together, it's like, it's beautiful. It's hearing literally the mirror of yourself. It's beautiful. Anyway, we got a caller here. Area code 407. First two numbers, 88. 407-88. Your mic is hot. Do you have any questions or comments? Hello? Yeah, you're on the air. So, questions or comments?
Hey, Kate, this is Pulsar.
How are you doing? Yeah, I can hear you fine. Sorry, I mute out because it's kind of windy where I am. So, great to hear you. Share away.
Great to hear. I'm so glad to be here with the Freedom Reigns crew. This is wonderful. Awesome. Wow. So how's the show been going? I haven't really been able to hear it for some reason. I clicked on it, and it just kept, going back. And I was like, okay, so I'll just call in.
It's been a weird night, and I can tell you why. Anytime we bring shows together, especially with people like Laura Eisenhower, and you know what kind of history we've had with getting interrupted and hacked and cut off and all the rest of it over the last number of months, pretty much from day one. No surprises. Any questions you have for Laura?
Well, as far as that's what I was saying, is I haven't heard the show because I tried to hear it, but it wouldn't go. It wasn't, for some reason. I don't know why, but
what's
the subject?
I'll put you back on hold, and I'll check in with you in about half an hour, and I'm sure you'll have lots of questions by then. That gives us 15 minutes to the close of the show. Does that work for you?
All righty.
Okay, so hang in there, and that way, rather than try to reiterate what we've already talked about, we're going to continue on with this beautiful message that Laura's sharing with everyone, and I'm sure you'll have a question or two. Promise.
Okay.
All right, so I'll put you back on hold. No worries, and we'll carry on here. So,
all right.
Laura, I think Tony. Let me just quickly check here. Okay, Tony. I'm looking for his Skype here because I know he had a call come in from Alfred. So, there he is. Okay. Wow, we got a lot of callers in here. Okay, there we go.
Hey,
Tony.
Kate. I'm
cool.
sorry.
Take her away, guys. Questions and comments from you guys.
I just wanted to make a comment real quick that I just heard from Santo, and he is on another call and won't be able to join us as he expected. So he just wanted to apologize for not being here.
Oh, no worries. We're all doing our job here, right? So
Sure.
in the same place. We're not. We're all trying to change the world from the same locale. So it's we all know what Santo's like. So let him rip. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that. The strangest thing happened. That was really strange. No, I had an incoming call from Alfred Weber, and I thought, oh crikey, he's trying to get on the show, so I'll just sort of like duck out and try and arrange it so he can come in through the right door, if you like. But I couldn't communicate with him, so I don't know what happened. He wasn't receiving the other end, and he was on Don't Disturb, so I don't know how that happened at all. Strange. And he called me, it wasn't me calling him.
Yeah, that's strange. That's normal for our shows. Yeah, see, Laura? We're used to this, so it's quite normal. And that's something else, too. Like, based on what was going on around the show tonight with this computer and my other one and everything else, talk about defiance, that this show, I can't get on to anything Freedom Reigns. I managed to be in the chat room because I logged on before the show, but as far as the other computer, I can't bring up anything in Blog Talk. I can't bring anything up in Freedom Reigns, which is interesting. That's a first. So well done for being the powerhouse you are, Laura. They really, really are afraid of you. That's awesome. I love that.
Oh, so that's good.
Excellent.
We do have another couple of callers. So why don't we just carry on with callers that have called in. Hopefully they've been tuned in for a little bit. And let me see what we got. We got one here that's just a couple of minutes in. So let's go to area code 914. First two numbers 40. 91440. Your mic is waiting for it to go hot. There it is. It's hot. Any questions or comments?
I just want to say that it's great that Laura's sharing all that information. I personally have grown up in that environment where I was involved with the Montauk Project and surviving that and being able to gain power from that, and I'm still trying to to deal with the outcome of everything that happened to me. Because when you have these things happen, you can't really speak openly about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you called in. And this is one thing I do want to get across to everyone here. When you find the truth and are willing to stand in truth, you find your integrity, your lion heart, your core, your coeur, French heart. When you find that and you stand in it, you become an untouchable. So this is where the fear abates. When you find the center of self and the love and the compassion and the willingness to stand regardless of the cost, all of a sudden there's a bit of a Teflon coating seems to magically surround you. And yeah, you may get hassled here and there, but they cannot harm you. That's the joy of it.
Yes. It's true.
I'm not
Very
there
true.
yet.
No problem.
It gives us hope that at least you are, you know.
I do sessions. If you want to check out my website, I'm going to give that information at the end of the show. But I do sessions to help people, you know, with stuff that you're dealing with if you want to contact me.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So is there anything you want to share or anything you want to cover while you're on the call here with us?
You know, it's like when they use you for these type of projects, they're aware of the gifts that you have, but and then afterwards, then you're made to feel like insignificant. But you know, and it's like it's even hard to talk about. How are you going to tell people like stargates and opening up and seeing all kinds of way out stuff? People, they're not even there. You can't even talk about it, you know?
Right. You know, it's difficult to try and get other people to understand this type of thing, but there's so much out there now. So many books have been written. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, the extraterrestrial thing. People are a lot more comfortable with that concept, and now, okay, well, stargates are maybe something people aren't used to talking about, timelines, time travel, teleportation, all that kind of stuff, New World Order. But, you know, what my approach is, because just being a public speaker and somebody who's really trying to, you know, share this stuff, is you do what you can, you plant seeds, but if it starts to create separation or anger, you know, go back to the heart again, because it's really about our frequency right now. We don't want sharing the truth to create such opposition that it creates separation. We want, you know, to share enough to get interest, but to still keep the energy high, not to go into, you know, insults or, you know, taking on the projections because people call us crazy, and to let it get to us too bad. You know, it's just a balance between planting seeds and keeping the energy and frequency still somewhat unified. Like, you know, family gatherings, if people, you know, start to share this stuff and it creates drama, it's best to just drop it and focus on the heart and just enhancing the energy of the heart rather than get into, you know, a battle about, you know, what's truth and not truth, because ultimately the best and most important thing is the energy we hold, the frequency we hold, and the heart and unity. And, you know, people will deal with the information and they'll be able to get in touch with it when they're ready for it. But until then, it's important just to keep a high vibration.
Okay, well, I mean, I can only talk to somebody like you that has experience there, but there is nobody in my world where, you know, you're going to be able to talk about this stuff, because it's, you know, it's
right.
So beyond, it's like no one's going to believe it. Everybody's wrapped up into their own survival, everyday thing, and then you try to explain to them something that's totally out of the normal, you know, realm. Even me seeing it is like it's and experiencing it. It's like, you know, it's cool to think about or rap about it, but when you actually experience that and see like, holy cow, this is actually real, you know, this isn't like some fantasy or anything like that. It's like, even with my wife, I told her about some of the stuff, and it's like, how do you get somebody to believe you? Only my friend John, because he was there, when he created that Stargate thing, he believes me because he was there, but anybody else is not gonna, you know.
Yeah, they've done a really good job at just putting it in movies. It's like movies tell more truth than our governments, and our governments are more theater than the movies. I mean, they play roles that deceive people like they're characters in a movie, but the movies we see, you know, disclose more than our governments ever will, and it's very backwards, and it's very difficult to get this stuff out there. But, you know, be open to finding new friends, and there's a lot of online communities and a lot of people talking about this stuff. You know, so don't be too discouraged about who's in your life, because there's plenty of others out there that will be able to handle this and be in dialogue with you about it. And, you know, like I said, if you contact me, I can help direct you to some really good communities that, you know, aren't based on belief systems, but just really on sharing experiences that are really far out and hard for the masses to grasp.
Thank you very much for your help.
Sure. Thanks for calling.
Sir, what can I get your name? Can I get your name? Are you on Facebook?
Yes, Victor, Victor, Modlinger, Modlinger.
All right, Victor. I'm going to send you a friend request. There are several people in our chat room who are just sending you love and hugs, and they definitely are cheering you on and want to help support you. So along with that, and I definitely encourage you to contact Laura. Yes.
Yeah, we know what you've been through is real. And again, as Laura has outlined as well, they do spend a lot of time on the discrediting and demeaning, making you doubt yourself. Again, the most powerful God is one that can make another God doubt itself, and that's all they've done. So we're now removing the doubt. You are God. We're all part of the one creation, and we have infinite power. And you're not alone.
Thank you. It feels like that most of the time, but thank you.
Well, just remember this call tonight, then. Anytime you feel alone, you're not. We're all in this together, my friend. That's just how we get out. We got in together, we get out together. And that's all there is to it.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Aw.
All right. We have more callers here, guys. Victor, I'm going to put you back on hold here, my friend. And appreciate your comments. People will be in touch to prove to you that you're not alone. Much love to you.
God bless you.
Much love to you.
Much love to you all. Thank you.
There we go. Wonderful call. Wonderful call. Just going down the list here to see who. Okay, we have a caller from area code. Oh my goodness, we got a few here. I'm just scrolling up, guys. Just give me a second here. My computer doesn't like to be too friendly here. Let me see. I've already been to the... Actually, have we done the 949 area code yet? I don't think
Not as I recall. Okay,
well, let's bring area code 949. It's the longest one waiting here. 949, first two numbers 55. You are on the air. You have any questions or comments for Laura?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about she was talking about duality and having it, expressing it externally. And I was under the impression that it was more of an internal battle that we have to overcome. And I just wanted to touch on that and see what she said.
I focus on the internal. I've mentioned it a lot of times in the interview so far. I'm not sure when you tuned in, but I think the last thing I said was to overcome it, we have to overcome it on the inside. I mean, duality has to be overcome on the inside because it's an egoic thing. But it's played out in our externals in order for us to attach ourselves to it. And that's what war is. That's what, false flags do. That's what voting does. I mean, it's the way that our system is set up. That's the way the school systems are. You're either a success or you're a failure. But it's our individual process that's going to free us from it. Just like turning off the television is going to free us from whatever those programmings do to us internally. It starts from within and making those empowered choices to not buy into it and to not get immersed in it. But I'm not into the outer battling. I'm into divine justice and exposing stuff, but the internal work is where it's at. And if you ever get familiar with my stuff, you'll notice that that's the dominating theme in my message is the internal work. Even at the beginning of the interview, I talked about how people are always looking outside of themselves, and that's really not where to go. It makes us very vulnerable to getting off track. If we don't do the internal work first, then we're not going to create an honest reflection. We'll be creating based on somebody else's will. The programmed, distorted version of reality, which is the artificial matrix. And so in order to overcome that, we have to overcome not just duality, but where we plugged into it and where we give our power away to it. But the thinking effect that it has is very dualistic. And that's where, people fall apart very easily because they can't find that in-between. They can't utilize the light and dark within themselves. And that's what I was saying. We have to merge the light and dark within ourselves, our right and left brain, the masculine and feminine within ourselves to create that sacred union. And it absolutely starts with the inner work. And that's what changes the outer reflection. And the thing is, when women are pregnant, all they see is pregnant people. When we're holding on to a programming, we're going to enhance our connection and how we engage with it on the outside because we're going to be, our receptors are looking for it because we're somehow attached to it or we bought into it. It's a belief we hold. So when we drop those beliefs, when we drop the dualistic thinking, we're not going to be paying as much attention to the things that are going to want to immerse us in duality. We're going to be paying attention to the things that inspire us, to the things that, connect to our passions and our purpose and just, our movement into a much higher experience. But we don't get there by picking and choosing externals unless we've, in a way that's going to serve us, unless we really know ourselves deeply and we resolve these things within. And that's where we've been targeted. We're targeted on a personal level. Our relationships are targeted. Our self-esteem and the way we identify with the masculine and feminine roles are targeted. And so to detach ourselves from it, we got to go inside and look at where we're attached or where we've plugged in. Absolutely. The internal work is everything. Oh, my gosh.
Couldn't agree more.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. My heart goes out to the brother. Thank you.
Sorry again?
Thank you very much.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
I'm in California. No, I was saying that my heart goes out to the brother that called before.
Well, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So,
all right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the call.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And, pardon the hiccups when it comes to the radio here, because when you're dealing with Skype, there's that radio effect that goes on where you overlap. We've got a few more callers here. We still have a half hour, so we'll hey, if you guys are good with this, I'm loving the questions that are coming in and the answers that are coming out. It's beautiful. So as long as you guys are okay with that, we're good?
Sure. There's one thing I quickly say something to Laura.
Please do.
Hi, Laura. It's Miranda again. Sorry, I wasn't on form earlier on. I'm feeling much better now. I do a thing called lexigramming, where I make words from people's names. And I've been looking at your name this evening, and I've used Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. It's not to my normal standard, but very quickly I just want to read you what I've written with your name. Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. Laura is awesome. Laura, no Mars. No Mars now. Laura is on Gaia now. Laura is on Gaia. Laura said no agenda now. Laura is online now. Laura is in dialogue now. And her granddad Eisenhower was in Round House.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's not up to my usual scratch, but I will do a much better one because you have totally blown me away tonight. There's so many things I resonated on. I really want to depict your name hugely, and I will do a fantastic lexigram and I'll send it to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's really neat. Thank you.
Thank you so much because you are amazing. Amazing.
Oh, thank you. So kind.
Yeah,
I really appreciate just the chance to just express and just share with everybody, and I just love our unified field and just all of our connecting. It just means so much to me.
Wow, your energy is really contagious. I feel like running a mile now. I just love listening to you talk. You remind me of a really good friend of mine down in LA. But I'm just loving the information that you're sharing. It's amazing.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm so glad.
You're amongst friends here, Laura, for sure. There's no question there. And I know our listeners have been, the ones that have been tuned in for a long time, are very familiar with our brand of truth, the self-evident stuff. And what you're sharing tonight is exactly what we've been resonating for so very long. And it's wonderful when and I knew this anyway, just knowing of you, where this energy would be tonight. And this is universe shifting energy that we're sharing. And this is, if there's any reason why I do what I do, this is it. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. My gosh. Yeah, I love these shows because it really, it does shift the energy. That's what words do. It's like sound healing technology. We're all just we're this advanced technology beyond anything we can imagine, and just putting a voice to this stuff creates so much change. It's so important that we all share. So.
Well, agreed. Yeah. Well, we'll move on to the next caller here for you, hon, and we'll bring in area code 412-75. First two numbers, area code 412-75. Your mic should be hot. I'm just waiting for it. There we go. Area code 412-75. Questions or comments?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Loud and clear.
Hi. This is Cheryl Diamond Murray from Pittsburgh.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I heard you on the radio, so I thought I'd call in because it was, my heart skipped a beat. I was like, oh, Laura's on the radio. I wanted to call in and say how much we appreciate everything you do, actually, for humanity and for the energy that actually is surrounding the world right now. But I have a question and a thought, and I thought maybe I'd just throw it out there at you. But so it's clear to me that with all of the stuff that's going on in the Matrix, what we really need to do is be happy within ourselves so that our light can shine and teach other people that all they have to do is really be happy within themselves, right? Because it seems so chaotic and so crazy out there, and people like the caller just before called and said that nobody listens to them and nobody's understanding, and it's scary sometimes because we think we're the only ones, like they were saying, but I come to realize that all we really have to do is shine our light, and the brighter we shine, or the more love that we share, it only opens them up more, because the Matrix, until it's dissolved, we're in it. We're still in it.
Right.
Like how, you understand what I'm saying? Like you just can't get out of the Matrix, right, until it's dissolved.
Right. You got to expand beyond it till it just dissolves within one's own nature, and then that's what collectively we're being asked to do, to dissolve it completely, from humanity, where it's like a dimension we'll leave behind. These technologies aren't just going to disappear. These alien races aren't, just going to disappear, but our relationship to them is going to dissolve, and just our connection to the Matrix, because there's receptors in us that are still tapping into it, and yes, we've been taken advantage of. It's not really our fault, but we agree to it on some level. But as soon as we lose the receptors and the things that cause us to stay immersed, we are in it, and that's why we dissolve it just through our own awareness and our self-love, our autonomy, our independence, our free thinking, and our connection to the elements and Mother Earth and the cosmos and spirit. That's what's going to dissolve the Matrix, because everything within the Matrix is trying to separate us from it, and it's trying to, convince us that we don't have this amazing power, and that, we are dependent on our doctors, on our leaders, on our, it's unbelievable. So the more we realize that we're made up of all of this, and that we have the ability to heal ourselves, and we have the ability to manifest and create miracles, and eventually even pull things out of the sky, just like yogis do, and not need the money system or the governments, because we never did need it. It's just a grand deception. The Matrix will definitely dissolve.
And so you think it's more of a time thing. It's not going to just happen in the blink of an eye. It's something that is just going to progress in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So people have a perception that it's all of a sudden just going to flip, you know?
Well, it's like healing. You know, when we listen to our pain body, once we listen to it and we understand the message, the pain disappears. But if the illness is more extreme, once the consciousness gets the message, it takes a while for the body to catch up. I mean, we have to recognize that these aren't instant changes that we're going to see, but, you know, these things will catch up with us. That's just, you know, the way it goes. I find this as well when I do readings, you know, that most of the beings that I'm working with, their consciousness is so beyond this physical plane, but there's different hooks that just keep them here. And once they let go of it, it's not that everything's going to disappear. It's just they wean themselves off of it, and it's just a gradual removing, you know, that takes place. And just like detoxing or just anything, it's a bit of a process. But you know, when you don't identify with it anymore, it doesn't hold any power over us, and we're allowed to witness these things without having it be a part of our experience. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of bleeding timelines, so we're going to see things that don't have anything to do with our path, that we're going to notice that people are immersed in or connected to, that we just don't relate to at all. Kind of like a different channel on a television. If you put a bunch of different sets around us, you know, we can watch 10 different things at once, but it doesn't mean that our attention is on the things in our peripheral vision just because it's there. It's really what we're plugged into that determines the timeline that we're on. But we're going to witness, you know, a whole array of different types of beings and different types of energies that are walking a different path. And people fear that because they, and people fear that because it's there that it's going to affect us, and it does to a certain degree because we're one and we're whole and we're like a mandala, like a web of life. But if we focus in on our own role, you know, we in a sense give permission for other people to step in the same as well. And you know, once we do that, you know, the matrix that, you know, seeks to take our souls and our power and our energy and our beliefs, you know, doesn't have anything to grab onto anymore. You have to be in relationship to it for it to work. And, you know, there's tools that they use. And I say this, and for anybody who hears me talk a lot, it's kind of redundant, but I think it's a really good point. When we're, you know, working with healing modalities and we're committed to a healing path, we have to believe that we're capable of healing. We have to believe that we do have that power for it to really work. And those tools can assist, just like aliens use implants, and there's tools like, you know, mind control and television and false flags. You know, they only really work if we buy into the program. We have to believe in it for any of it to really work. I mean, for us to really be electronically controlled, we already have to believe in the things we're seeing in the news. We have to believe, you know, that we are not a greater power than we are for it to work. So it's really what we choose to align with. It doesn't really matter what the tools are as much as what we're aligned with, but the tools certainly, you know, can help, whether it's on the dark side or the light side. You know, it's going to take a while for us to be cleansed of the 3D experience because we are going to see it linger because of our loved ones that are still immersed in it, and our agreements are to not just ascend and say goodbye. I mean, much of us have so much compassion that we're not going to allow ourselves to fully and totally move on, maybe in consciousness, but we still have agreements to probably, at least I know I do, to continue to help the collective. But as long as we're not, you know, buying into it, you know, we are in a completely different reality, and we're functioning from a totally different dimension. You know, like I see it just like a fire alarm. You know, the firemen come to the fire. You know, at times you can get burnt, and at times, you know, you don't survive it. But the thing is, the person and the being that you are, the fact that you're in service and the fact that you're trying to rescue people, you know, you have a different relationship with death than the person that's inside, you know, freaking out, because you've kind of stepped outside of the reality and you're playing a different role. And, you know, that's the mentality of people that fight wars. You know, they think they're serving their country, and they think they're doing it for noble reasons, and that counts a lot more than the fact that they're being duped. The fact that their heart has made a commitment based on those principles are seen in the eyes of, you know, the higher supreme being, even if they're being duped. You know, people will still ascend even if they're buying into the program if their heart's in the right place. So as much as people want to wake up their family and friends, they don't need to worry so much as long as that person's heart-based and as long as their service to others orientated, like the law of one. I mean, we have a choice between two orientations, service to self or service to others. So even if people don't wake up to what's happening in the Matrix or the fact that, you know, the world is run by a satanic cult, you know, as long as they're heart-based and their energetics are in tune with a higher sense of community and global family and just really just looking out for each other, you know, they're still in a good place even if they don't understand that they are immersed in the Matrix. I mean, we are to a certain degree. We still have to pay rent, and we are still here. But to me, it's just like somebody who's on call to put out a fire, or someone on call to be an EMT, and it's just the rescue mission that us light workers have come to this dimension to serve as.
Right.
But yeah, for all those that are really stuck in it, it's the internal hooks that they need to address to begin to let their consciousness move through the gateways and through the natural stargates, and then the physical will catch up. But the physical moves much slower than consciousness.
So you don't feel like did you see the movie The Matrix?
Yeah.
Okay, where they all just kind of unplug. They all just wake up in a way. You know what I mean? Ours, as far as the ascension that we're talking about now, is really a gradual process for each individual. It's not something that's just going to, unplug us, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's on an individual level, and when enough numbers get over the hump, it'll start to ripple out more to the collective, like
faster
the Hawkins scale.
Yeah.
Like the Hawkins scale is based on logarithms, and my partner, Dr. Dream, talks about the Hawkins scale a lot. Somebody who's vibrating at enlightenment or unity compensates for 200 million people that are vibrating at fear or, a lower vibration. So when we get enough numbers that are, really in a high frequency, it's going to affect the masses and everybody else. And this is what, one of the hosts was talking about at the beginning of the show, and that's all we can really do. But exactly. But as far as, everything else, we're dealing with chemtrails and nanoparticles and artificial intelligence and the fact that they want man and robot to be merged. That's something to be concerned about. But like I said, they do have tools to immerse us into the machine. But as long as we don't buy into the program, we protect our sovereignty and we protect our path and we protect ourselves from being stuck in a dimension that wishes to, plug us in, which is the Matrix. So, but yeah, for those who are freeing themselves of it and they expect change like in a blink of an eye, they have to remember that even if the antidote is put in there and activated, it does take some time for it to complete itself.
Right. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's a healing process.
I hope that answered it okay. Sure.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. And Laura, great dialogue there. Thank you so much. We got about 15 minutes left here, actually 14 minutes. I am going to bring a couple, we've got a couple more callers here. I'll bring them in. If you guys can keep your questions and comments brief, that would be great, because I'd like to get, there's three of you, I'd like to get all three of you in, going to the longest one on hold here. Area code 401, first two numbers, 61. Area code 40161, your mic is hot. Questions or comments? I guess not. Okay, moving on down the line here. Area code 908. 36, first two numbers. Making your mic hot now. And there it goes. Questions or comments? Area code 908.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my call. My name is Mike, and I've been following I have been following for a while the predictions around 2012, and there were a lot of people saying a lot of things, and there were people a few years ago saying the world was going to end or go through some cataclysm, and then there were a lot of people who were saying that we were going to go through like a transformation of some kind, a global transformation, or an increasing of synergy, and so 2012 seems like it came and went, and I was kind of disappointed because as far as I can tell, the world is just the same as it was, and so I'm wondering, is this? It sort of caused a crisis in me because I put a lot of stock into what people were saying, but as far as I can tell, at least from what I've seen, we're in the same world as we were before. So my question is did these prophecies fail, or is there some change that I can't detect, or what's the story?
Can I jump on this one first, Laura?
Yes, absolutely.
Really quick. I did make a prediction. My prediction was that December 22nd would happen, and it came true because I didn't buy anything outside of myself, and that's the whole idea of what the Matrix is. It wants you to believe in something outside of you, and when it doesn't happen, you feel let down. So what I chose was something I know was going to be real for me, And gosh darn it, if it didn't come true. December 22nd came and went, so did the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Anyway, over to you, Laura.
Well, I mean, I think out of all the things that could have happened, that we're in a good place. I mean, there could have been major cataclysms. They have technologies that can create all sorts of disasters and storms, and they've been trying to create earthquakes in California that have been subdued and stopped. And, you know, Dan Burrish, who's a whistleblower who talks about timelines, who worked with MJ12, who was, you know, dealing with the extraterrestrials and looking glass technologies and stargates, even said that we're in a period of, you know, we've been able to stay on the positive timeline. I don't even think it's the timelines that he talked about way back when. And he said it's the unity events, it's the whistleblowers, it's the people who have stepped up that have, you know, kept this energy stable. And I think the stability that we have right now is a really good sign. I mean, we haven't. Okay, Fukushima was terrible, and there's, you know, there's always hiccups that the Earth naturally does. That, you know, things like HAARP can steer into populations and enhance. You know, because they're trying to turn weather into a weapon. So it's a little disheartening to still see chemtrails and this and that, knowing these technologies are there. But the amount of exposure that these agendas are getting, the amount of awakening that's happening is raising our frequency above these technologies so that there's a backlash, you know, so that there's the more we let go of the fear, the more we let go of the anger and the programmings, and the more we become empowered and the more we expose these things, this energy lands back on their lap. Because as long as we're holding on to the programmings or any sort of anger or disappointment or just judgment about what we're seeing, that energy, you know, is locked up in us when it needs to go back to them. And so the more we can free ourselves of all of it, you know, the more it returns to the source in which it came from. And that's when they deal with the heaviness, and that's when they deal with the karmic backlash. The reason they're not getting the karmic backlash is because humanity's, you know, easily controlled, and they're holding on to these programmings or these reactions of fear and anger or resentment because they're finding out, you know, who are the players. And really, you know, the more we can raise our frequency and just own our freedom, own our joy and self-love, you know, this stuff is going to bounce back on them. Now, the 21st, to me, I felt it was unbelievable, you know, the energetics that I felt. I was doing tarot. I've been shuffling, you know, 30 times a day for over 25 years, working global energy. I don't use tarot in the normal way. I process global energy, and I have calluses on my hands because I've been doing it for so long, and it's every day. And I've gone through like 20-something decks because I do it so much that the art wears off the decks. But I use a circle deck, and basically, you know, I go into just the core of the creative energies of the planet and just the cosmic energies, astrological stuff, and I move energy as much as I can. So right around about 3 in the morning, 3:15, 3:14, when it was at the peak time in December 21st, about an hour or two beforehand, I was shuffling my cards, and it was about the timelines and what timeline we were going to be on, knowing that whatever it tells me, I'm not just going to say, oh, okay, because if it's negative, I'm going to work the energy. And, you know, this isn't me alone. I mean, I could tell that lots of people were working energy. There's a lot of, you know, attention on this date, and people are meditating, people are going to sacred sites. So I was just keeping up with the global energies as well as my own. And the first reading was terrible. It was like the Justice card upside down. The Tower card. Then the Justice card upside down, and then the Devil card. My intuition said, oh, my God, this is, you know, an artificial timeline. This is a negative timeline. This is some sort of pole shift or disaster or catastrophe, you know, that we don't want. And for about 2 hours straight, I shuffled, set my intention, just moved the energy, tapped into all the beings out there that are just raising the energy and just keeping the focus. And the cards flipped over and just changed drastically. Because I knew every time you're dealing with the Tower and Death card, it means you can shift the energy, because the Tower, you know, breaks down the structures. The Death releases energy and births new energy. So I got the Tower and Death card to really work. And then the final reading, right before it peaked, was Death, Tower, and then Good Fortune, the Justice card upright, you know, the Goddess card, the Emperor card, which is the masculine, feminine, and union, and the World card, or something like that. It was like unbelievable. And I knew in that moment that, like, we were on the good track. And I was elated, and it just, you know, I shuffle until, it's like muscle testing, until I feel inner peace, and I just let myself sort of dissolve into just everything and just feel it all and just work from there. I don't really recommend it. It can be really overwhelming, but I've just been doing it for so long. But, you know, all I have to say is that it could have been a lot worse. We're still not out of the woods. And this is where our creative focus, our intentions, our unification, and just our devotion to, you know, our ascension process, to our own integrity, to our relationships, to really step it up is where it's at, because each moment we're creating. Every thought, every word, everything we do, determines where our footing is. And when we devote ourselves, it gives us a little bit of room to make mistakes. We're not here to be perfect. But when we have devotion and when we're really committed and when we really care and we're doing all that we can, we're going to notice the shift. But it's not going to happen overnight. I think people expected it to happen overnight, but it's much more a window period. The natural stargates are opening between 2012 and 2019, and we're in that period right now. And folks like Carrie Cassidy and some other researchers I really respect, like Lisa Renee, my own personal processes, researcher, experiencer, we've all come up with the same conclusion that we, really did make it. And even though the 5D ascension timeline, in a sense, got hijacked, we've been able to establish a whole new timeline. Similar to like the movie Avatar. If they didn't get intruded upon, or like indigenous cultures like Native Americans, if they didn't get intruded upon and they were just left to be at peace, yes, that would be like a natural blossoming and natural ascension, because we are all naturally ascended beings as is. Now, when you get intruder races and infiltrations, that's, an attack, and it can, destroy civilizations. But it's the strong souls like us that step back up and say, I don't think so. We're the true warriors that are saying, I don't think so. And we have reestablished that connection, and we have created a whole new timeline. And I'm not the only one who's saying it. So, the fact that there's been some level of stability through this window period is a very positive thing. But, we can't just become complacent. It's even more important that we all step up and recognize that every moment counts, to really anchor it. It's like, bread coming out of the oven. It needs to settle. You got to protect your aura and not let anything come in, because we're still very vulnerable. But I think we're in a really, really good place. On a consciousness level, the shift happened, but, the physical is going to take some time. But let's just be glad that it wasn't worse than it could be. I mean, we're with the things that were stacked against us, I think we're in a really, really good place, because there's just as much, doom prophecies as there were very positive ones. And we're kind of in the middle right now, and we have a choice.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. I just wanted to jump in here quickly. We got a little over 4 minutes. We are going to run past the air time as far as being on the air. So I'll get my little spiel in now. Thank you so much to everyone listening. We are going to go past into recording, and the show will be available as soon as we're done, which who knows how long. I do want to get the last caller in as well. I didn't want to leave none left behind on this show. But I just wanted to say a special thanks to Laura Eisenhower for coming on, and a special thanks for Tony making that possible to have you here on Outside the Box. And you're most welcome any time to bring this beautiful energy, by the way, Laura. So please feel like you're part of the family, because you are.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's
yes, thank you.
Yeah, totally blown away.
Yeah, I can't even begin to describe. But anyway, if you could, Laura, while we're still, it's going to be on the recording, but I want to make sure that the listeners that are listening have your contact information as far as your website and what have you. So if you could share that right now, we got a little over 3 minutes. So take your time. There's no rush here. And of course, those that have called in will get to continue listening in because they're on the board. And I will get to the last caller as well. So, Laura, if you could, that'd be awesome.
Okay, great. My website is called CosmicGaiaSophia.com. You can find me on Facebook under Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. I have a Return of the Divine Feminine page. I also have another, page. Let's see. My website, I've already said. TorahBlove.com is a good one to check. My partner runs that website. It has all our events and everything coming up. I'm going to be updating my website, but I definitely share all those things there as well. HealthyFamilyNow.com is another website, and that's the personal sessions that we do. For anybody who wants readings, you can find that information on my website that I already said, CosmicGaiaSophia.com. I think I've basically covered all the websites. But yeah, HealthyFamilyNow.com and TorahBlove.com, that's joint with my partner. CosmicGaiaSophia.com is my personal website. And I'll be keeping it updated with events. I will also be a teacher at Exo University with Alfred Weber and others, which will be monthly lectures that are about 90 minutes. And there'll be 12 altogether. So altogether it's going to be about 18 hours of information, and it's basically our galactic history, it's cosmic mythology, it's our ascension process, it's connecting to our soul work and the inner processes that we need to be paying attention to, and I'll be posting all that as well.
Well, not a whole lot of stuff to do there, no?
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, and by the way, I'm a tarot reader as well. I love my tarot. They're beautiful energy, and I understand the whole idea of the shuffle, and there have been days where I just sit and shuffle them all day and just bask in the energy of them.
It's a really great tool, it really is. To work energy, to get to know yourself, and to really create wholeness, because we are all these archetypes, and it's really about, wholeness, and yeah, it's a great tool.
I totally agree. Let's bring this last caller in before we go off the air, and again, this will be in the recording. Now, did the caller stay in here? I do believe they're not here. Oh, don't mind that. That's the board talking to me. Oh, well, okay, all the callers are done. We do have, actually, Jason just showed up, and I'm sure he'll want to jump in for a sec. What do you think, Cindy? You think he might?
Oh, I think he just might.
Oh, actually. Oh, hang on. I do have one here, area code 805. Let me go back to that one first. I think that's Pulsar. So, of course, it was right down at the bottom there. Pulsar, is that you? Area code 8.
Colleen. Hello?
Hey, Colleen, how are you?
Hey.
Hi, Colleen. I thought when I heard Kate say 805, that's my area code. That's Colleen.
Yes, interesting. Yes, the last call, and when he said it was 555. 555. Oh, my gosh. The energy is so ramped up. Laura, this is Colleen, a sister Venturian from Ventura. Hi. And Cindy on the panel there is close by, too.
Yes, I'm in Fort Hueneme, Laura. I live in Oxnard in Ventura County, so yes.
Oh, my gosh. I hope you get a hold of me.
I just wanted to say, Kate and Santos and Tony and Miranda and Cindy, it's just an absolutely incredible family. And you coming on, Laura, like I said, it is so ramped up. The energy flowing through my body right now is just, no words for it. But that's what I wanted to say, how we can take this energy right now, this incredible high vibration, the love, and how we can send that out into the world, our families, our community, and raise the vibration. It's just unbelievable right now.
Definitely. Oh, my gosh. And that's where it's at. And
yes.
Oh, definitely. And I got to tell you, that the one caller that had mentioned about the December 21st thing, there was a major shift. I didn't want to make light of it. What I was trying to convey there was the fact that unless you're really looking outside of yourself, you're going to miss it anyway in terms of from knowing yourself from inside. And I'm looking for the positive effects of others. I wasn't looking for something to happen with me or to me. I mean, I'm already in that mindset. I'm looking to see what shifts have been made on the planet and what energies are changed and what attitudes are shifting and what news was coming up. Again, just as the researcher observer that I am. So, definitely beautiful energy around right now.
Who is it? That's all I wanted to say. I just was so happy to get in, and I love you all. And love everyone on the chat. Just so much love.
Thank you.
Well, this is really good
everyone.
We love you too.
Thank you.
Right back at you, Colleen.
Thank
Definitely,
you.
yes.
All right. I was going to say, we're in the recording, so we can carry on as long as you want. So, that was you, Jason?
Yeah. I just wanted to pop in with a comment about the energy and the shift and what people are feeling, because I know there's a lot of people out there who feel like they are the only ones who who really understand what's going on, or at least have a solid piece of the puzzle. And I think one of the important things to remember is that your energy is changing, your energy is shifting, and so is the energy around you. So, the more we get into this positive timeline, just think of it in terms of polarity, that you're going to see something or you're going to hear about something that's going to repulse you. You're going to feel, really disgusted by it. But if you can change that energy within yourself so that you're not necessarily repulsed by it, but you can kind of remain neutral, or in sync with others who are also shifting towards that positivity. So if you surround yourself by that positivity instead of surrounding yourself with the negativity, you won't feel that tug as strongly as you would if you were surrounded by all these negative events that are happening around us.
Definitely. I mean, there's 7 billion of us, and people stay stuck in relationships, or their social life doesn't mean much to them, or they feel isolated. And it's like, there's so many of us out there. Be willing to just, step out of, your comfort zone, which seems to be a discomfort zone for many, and just, explore what's out there, because, there's plenty who get it, who are having similar experiences. And, I appreciate technology, not dark occult technologies or, alien technologies that are about mind control, but, the internet. I mean, it's incredible because there's so much unification happening. It's impossible really to be alone anymore. If we seek company and we hold, the right vibration and perspective, it's really just really easy to find community and friends now more than ever. And there's no reason to sit in something, a life situation or a vibration that's unsuitable, because we have the option to move beyond it. None of us are stuck. If the mind believes one is stuck, that's the only thing that's getting in the way. Just a shift in perception changes everything. And, in every moment, when somebody just sits there, just, I'm depressed or I'm angry, it's like that's a vibration that can be changed in that moment much more rapidly than we can even imagine. But like you said, I totally agree. We have to change, the things that we're identifying with. If they bring us down, it's time to move on. We don't need to hang on to old relationships or relationships that don't serve us or who don't see us clearly. Loyalty is a great thing, but sometimes it can really stifle us. I'm all about sacred union and good relationships, but I'm not into staying in situations or in relationships that bring us down. I mean, it's just people need to take risks and be willing to follow their heart and their spirit, and to trust that the synchronicities will show up, rather than expecting the same old thing that keeps frustrating them to get better.
And I also think we're disappearing in the sense of today when I went down the town, there was someone I saw who. Her energy, I didn't want to be in that field, and she looked right at me and she never saw me, and she walked straight past me.
Oh, that's cool.
It was amazing, and that's happened recently with quite a few people when I've thought, I really can't use this energy, and I don't want to be part of any of this, and they look literally directly at me and there's no recognition. It's like I am a different person.
Right.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's like losing the receptors or the need to engage, and it's like, who cares what anybody thinks? So many people, the masses, like to follow trends and what's popular, and it's just like, come on already. I mean, who cares what anybody thinks? Be willing to just be true to you, and then the like-minded friends will show up. But if we're looking outside of ourselves and we're looking for external approval or to belong, if it's not really our energy or vibration, it's going to make us miserable, even if we feel a false sense of belonging. It's just time to say goodbye and really look for what resonates with our own truth, because there's plenty of reflections out there. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say the only serious aspect I have is worried if my shoes match my top. I mean, okay, I'm not following any trends, but I do want to,
Right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with following a trend if it just happens to be something you're into, but if it's followed because, a person wants to fit in and they're just afraid of what others think, then, that's a little bit different. But, if it's something one genuinely likes and it's something that a lot of people genuinely like, then it's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, there's, being socially acceptable. It's like, sometimes I forget to even look in the mirror before I leave the house. I'm like, wait a second, remember you're in a human body. You got to make sure that you're presentable. that's that's a little different, but yeah, it's kind of that high school mentality that people still carry. They want a sense of belonging, but just being willing to just find your own inner truth, and even if it means you're alone for a little while, trust that the right people will show up when you commit to yourself first.
Absolutely.
Oh, exactly. And by the way, I did send you a Skype request, Laura. It probably come up as Cygnus Trumpets. That's my call sign. And I'll be sending you a Facebook as soon as I can get back on Facebook. I haven't been able to log in since the show started. I will.
Right.
I'll tag you. So, but yeah, this is one show I do not want to end. Any final comments from you guys? I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, we can't wait to have you back again, Laura. Totally, it's been such a buzzing show. It's been incredible.
Oh, I look forward to connecting again as well. It's been such a joy to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me. My gosh.
Oh, any
such a pleasure.
It's in the mirror.
Yeah, this is your mirror family, and the more we can get like-minded people together, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I like to bring the crew into the shows. Maybe not necessarily to always talk or whatever, and a lot of times I like it when other people will do the talking for me, so it's great. But it's a gathering of energy, and it's bringing all those beautiful people in my life together. Here's the Kitchen Kaylee. I'm Irish, okay? So this is the Kitchen Kaylee for me, where we all sit around and we play our love instrument, which is our heart, and that's where I'm at.
That's awesome. What an incredible group of people that I get to be with tonight. I feel the family vibe, and it feels so good. It's my favorite part of the work I do is just connecting to other beings and just sharing this vibration. It's so cool.
Oh,
I think we need to introduce Laura to Spirit Dancer, don't you?
Oh, for sure, certainly.
Absolutely. Actually, Sandy should have been in on this call as well tonight.
She should have.
Yeah, all good.
It's all good. We'll make sure that you guys get the contact. You definitely need to be in touch with Spirit Dancer, Laura. She's another beautiful part of our family and powerhouse.
Well, wonderful. I'd love to.
Absolutely. Well, if there's any other final comments, I know there's people just chomping at the bit to get this download, because as soon as we go past the clock, Laura, I'll tell you, I get tagged on Skype. Are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet?
The chat room is still buzzing right now. The chat room, all of the people in the chat room just absolutely went nuts over this show, and they're chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't see any more people. There's so many people in this chat room that are just waiting because they didn't get the opportunity to Skype in. But I mean, talking about technology, think about it this way. When I was in high school, back in the Paleolithic era, I think, if someone had come up to me and said, you're going to be making connections with people all over the planet, I mean, you're going to be sitting in a room with people from all over the world and having the same conversation, I would say, what, on the telephone? Except no, we're doing this wirelessly. We're doing this through all kinds of technology that would not have been available when I was in high school. And to think in those terms, and to think that this is possible, this is just a drop in the bucket as far as what's actually out there, as far as the technology and the availability to communicate with each other. I mean, we're talking matter from energy technologies, teleportation, transportation technologies. There's the expression, there's nothing new under the sun. When you have this many people getting together with this kind of energy, I mean, anything is possible. And I mean, I'm sure somebody would have heard the show and said, what do you mean there's people on Mars? What do you mean they've got these secret bases? What's it actually like? I want to go there. All it takes is one person to say, I want to go there, and someone else to agree, and to bring a friend in, and this is how shows like these come together, just to get inspired by this energy, and I can say for a fact that in 10 to 15 years, we're all going to be wondering, wow, we got a first generation of people who are growing up. In this context, it's there's a generation of people that grew up never knew a world without the internet, and I'm pretty sure in the next 10 to 15 years we're going to have a generation of people who grew up never knowing the world of oil, never knowing the world of all this negative BS that's going on, that they're going to say, I can't believe that people lived like that. I can't believe they would judge each other how they look, you know. And all it takes is that energy and that inspiration to change it.
And it's not going to take that long.
And also now we're connected, I believe we're externally connected. We don't even need the wires anymore. And I think this is how this family is coming together. You know, we start almost having, I don't know what I wouldn't even want to call it, I don't want to call tension, but you know what I mean? We are much more connected in this much wider web, for sure. And I think now downloads will connect, you know, and like the people I've been connecting with recently, we're all having the same dreams and the same things are coming out. It's really getting intense now. It's amazing. Sharing downloads, yeah.
It's almost like you can hear each other's thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, if you listen carefully and you stand somewhere very quiet, you know how a lot of people have dreams of that they're falling or that they're flying. If you lay on the ground and somewhere quiet, like away from a city, you can actually feel and hear the earth spinning. And you can know that basic sound, everyone can connect to that. Every single person, every single thing on the earth, you are connected to all of it, and you can feel it. All you have to do is find the right place, and you can do that.
I have that place in my backyard. Even though I am in the city, I still go in my backyard and just lay down in that grass, and especially at night because it's less noise. And oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't go ground myself. And talk about heal your body. Oh.
I mean, 40 minutes walking on uneven ground, you know, in the wood or, you know, outside with bare feet. Best thing you can ever do. It heals the body, heals the mind, connects you to everything. That's why I can't wait again for the weather to get better. I mean, I took my shoes off the other day. It's bloody freezing. But to have your bare feet, you know, and then I just start writing poetry. I become so creative. I literally can't stop. It's like constant download. It's amazing.
Oh, that's so awesome. You know, so many people are like, oh, I'm not creative, or oh, I'm not poetic. And it's like, just give it a try. You know, I mean, sometimes there's a little block to jump over, a little obstacle just to get those juices flowing. But I mean, everybody just should explore that side of themselves if they haven't, because, you know, there's nothing better than letting all that flow and to be able to see, you know, that creative expression outside of ourselves rather than it just being thoughts and just ideas that are just, you know, swirling in our own minds. I mean, it's just incredible to give expression to what's going on inside. You know, share it, yes. Yes, totally.
And share play days. Start inviting your friend down and get the crayons out and get paper out and start just making stuff. And it's just incredible how absorbed you get. And the best thing I've done is I did a cob building course, and getting your feet and your hands in cob and feeling that earth and manipulating it and sculpting it and touching it.
I did a cob course
to do
too.
that.
Yeah, I did it.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I did a course. It was awesome.
Yeah,
and also
do that with kids, just playing with the mud in the playground. That's the inspiration for everything for me, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Another thing I would like to say to people is don't tell yourself that you're not creative. Your words are spells, so start telling yourself every day, every hour of every day, as often as you can, that you are creative. Just speak positively to yourself. That's something I do every day when I wake up. I go and look in the mirror and talk to my inner child, praise my inner child, and you know, I reward myself. I praise myself. And
that's awesome. It's so important. So many people want to look outside for validation. It's like, no, you just need you. We just need ourselves. It's just amazing. Just most of the lessons in our life is just to learn how to fall back on ourselves and just to, you know, if nothing's showing up on the outside, it's a great sign that it's time to just connect with the self rather than judge it and say, oh, nobody, you know. I mean, we're so judgmental about our experiences, and it's just so much better to just embrace whatever the universe is offering us, because there's always wisdom to be drawn. There's always something to be said for why it's this way or that way. And the more we can just flow with it and make sense out of it rather than fight against it and judge it, the better off we are too.
And most of us here in this family, not all of us, but most of us, are drinking our urine. And that, to me, is the most incredible thing. And when you were talking about the masculine and feminine and marrying, that alchemical marriage, to me, that is what that is. And since I've been drinking it a lot and looping, I have never felt about myself as I do now. I've let myself a long time, and now I really do love myself. And for the first time, know how worthy I am to have everything. And that's a huge step, I think, for so many people. And urine isn't the only way. I mean, but just really taking care of yourself, whether you're drinking distilled water and juicing, that's another way. But cleansing out and wanting the very best and only wanting to put the very best into you makes such a difference.
Totally. And you know, the downtime too, just getting a lot of rest and relaxation and not calling it lazy. Just, you know, our society just wants us to just be like do instead of be. And you know, the more we can just give ourselves that chance to just be in our breath and just be in the now and just enjoy the moment, and whatever, if our bodies need rest, give it rest. If it needs, you know, just be in the natural rhythm with your own body, rather than, you know, have to meet the needs of a false structure on the outside of us that just is so demanding and so out of sync with just our own natural rhythm. I mean, the Gregorian calendar is not in sync with nature. The 13th moon calendar is. But
Absolutely, and so
right.
Many people hardly even know about the 13 moon calendar, do they? That's another thing. Actually, I'll start putting that on Facebook a lot more. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hope to find all of you on Facebook, too.
Oh, don't worry. You're getting the contact as soon as I can get logged in, for crying out loud. I've been trying. It's not working.
If it doesn't allow, just send me a message, and I'll do it from my end. People have had a hard time because it's filled, but I can add people, so.
Okay, no, I was thinking more along the lines of being able to actually get on Facebook. I haven't been able to get on Facebook, period, since just before the show started. Nuts. I've never had that happen.
Oh, okay. I haven't even tried.
Yeah, and I was talking on Skype. Victoria, she tagged me saying that they were having a hell of a time over the last couple of hours getting online and getting tuned into the show and everything else. So, but for the most part, we got out there, and that's all that really matters. And Laura, I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight. This has been a treat of treats. I got to hang out with Santo and Jordan Maxwell last night and talk about icing on a cake.
That was phenomenal. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, well, I've had a blast. I mean, it's such a great flow, just such incredible energy. I didn't know what I was in for, and this has been an absolute treat for me. So thank you again. My gosh, it's been amazing.
Well, anytime you have something coming up or you need something announced, just let us know, because typically we get anywhere from 30, well, we've had up to 130,000 tuned in on one show. So we have a very, very big network of getting information out. If there's things that you want to announce or whatever, just let us know. And we'll get it out there. Listen, this is all I do all day, every day, 7 days a week.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Might you ever come to England?
Oh, my gosh, I was born in England. I haven't been there in a while. I lived there on and off throughout my life.
Oh, because England is in your name. And I thought, why is England in her name? And so, you know, hugely there. That's because you were born here. Oh, wow. Well, let me know absolutely when you come, because I'm part of a really big group down near Brighton, near Lewis, Zoo Family, and to put on wonderful talks and stuff, and we'd love you to come give a talk there if you're ever over here. That would be
I would love that.
It'd be wonderful. Yeah.
Oh,
brilliant.
I would so love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Woo.
And I let Santo know that needs to get you on with him. He does shows on American Freedom Radio. Tony and I do things on Truth Central, Freedom Reigns, and Awake Radio. So there's
synchronicity.
And synchronicity, yes. There's no shortage of getting your message out. So, and anytime you feel like you just want to come on and chat, just let us know, and we'll get you in, and we'll have another family sit around the kitchen Kaylee chat.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm so inspired and just so uplifted. This has just been great.
Good.
Yay.
Well, it's a mirror. We're feeling the same way here, hon, and thank you so much for standing. That's all it takes for people to do is just finally decide that they've had enough. Have you had enough? You had enough? Okay, you've had enough. And just stand.
And congratulations, you know, you found the lion inside you, the strength to actually turn around and make a difference. That's it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I guess, as much as I don't want to end this call, I probably should, in that we're almost a half hour past, and I know people are chomping to get this. But, Laura, we're here, and I gave you Santo's Skype contact as well, so tag him, and we'll make sure that anything you need as far as getting word out, you've got a hell of a network behind you here as well. So we're all family. We're all in this together, right?
Absolutely. Oh, my gosh, yes. And with my contact information, just anytime anybody wants to reach out, I know some people from Ventura piped in, and all of you just, we are family. And so anytime you want to call upon me, let me know, and we'll totally stay connected.
Absolutely. God bless.
Well,
love. Yes. Big love to everybody.
And again, thanks, guys, for being such a wonderful crew to work with. Just the most amazing family I've had around me. You guys have been listening to Outside the Box here on Freedom Reigns, Blog Talk Radio, with the lovely Laura Eisenhower, and, of course, the crew. Much love. Enjoy the vibration. Anytime you're feeling down, I know that this is a show you can play over and over, and it will lift you up. You are not alone. We stand on this together. Much love to all, and thank you all so much for tuning in, and also for being a part of the show. Good night, guys.
Night-night. Sleep well.
Good night.
God bless.
Good night.